Hi everyone, so today I want to film the final part 3 of the series, and today I want to talk about pigment info. So let's have a little breakdown and have a look. Before we start, I just wanted to show you something. So when I did the review on this palette, I told you how I thought this compartments felt a little bit too small to mix colors. And so I've done a little swatch card here, and it actually stands quite nicely, sort of like a little display. So you might want to try that with your palette if you haven't thought of that yet. So I find it quite nice because then I can look at the colors and just remind myself of what they look like when they're on paper. So today is not going to be too much in depth because all I want to know for my 12 colors in the portable painter is just 3 things. So I want to know the pigment, I want to know the lightfastness and the transparency. I don't want to go into depth of granulation and also staining because I have sort of played around with these colors before, so I do know that, but I do want to have a little reminder of these things, which I think well, for me they are important. So let's start with Daniel Smith Lemon Yellow. So it's a PY 175, and I'll actually zoom in for you so you can also see what I'm reading here. So PY 175 is for Daniel Smith Lemon Yellow. For lightfastness, it was ASTM tested and it's A1, which is excellent. By the way, before we continue, I just wanted to actually show you something because I think not everyone is aware of it. So in watercolors, all of the watercolors that I own, the rating of the if it was tested by the ASTM, the rating usually goes from 1 to 3. I have never seen 4 in my life, so I was interested to actually understand what these numbers stand for. Now it goes, I think, up to a 5 or a 6 even, and those colors are, I have, like I said, I have never seen in real life. I don't think many good professional watercolor brands produce watercolors of that rating, but let's just have a quick look. So 1 stands for excellent, and that means over 100 years. So the color will last, and the vibrancy and the true tone of the color will last over 100 years. Number 2 stands for very good, so it's still quite good, and as you can see, it lasts from 50 to 100 years, so still very good lightfastness. So if something has a 2, I have noticed a lot of people actually lacking the knowledge of that and thinking that when it says 2 as opposed to 1, it means it's not great. I mean, 50 to 100 years is still pretty good. Number 3 is for fair, and that is considered sort of the low end of the lightfastness according to ASTM. But if you look at it in years, it's 15 to 50, so 15 to 50 years, and not bad, but it's not going to last, you know, sort of 100 years. So even if a color is 3, a lot of people start calling these, actually some even say 2 is a fugitive. Now that's a complete lack of knowledge. A fugitive color is considered, according to ASTM, anything above a 3. So you know, 4 and upwards is fugitive. Anything below a 4, so 1, 2, 3, are non-fugitive colors. So now that you know that information, I think it will help you to understand a little bit more what these ASTM ratings are all about. So let's continue with the next color, which is the Indian Yellow by Daniel Smith, and it is PY97 and PY150. So it's a 2-pigment combination. Light fastness, it's again rated on ASTM A1, so it's excellent, and it's a transparent. By the way, I had to triple check all of these to make sure that they are correct, because the Daniel Smith website was down last night and I was doing it quite late, so I couldn't use their website, and I went on Jackson's Art and their information was all over the place because it wasn't in line with actually what says on the tube. So on the tubes, all of these colors are, the Daniel Smith colors are ASTM rated, as it says here. I'll show you so that you know. Right here, I don't know if you can see, conforms to ASTM. I don't think the camera, here we go. So and on Jackson's Art it would say that it wasn't ASTM rated or something like that. So make sure you have a proper look. I ended up looking on my dot card in combination of checking every single tube as well. Unfortunately, the small tubes don't give you the transparency, so the transparency I had to check on my dot card. Now let's move on to the next one. So the next one is also Daniel Smith, Quinacridone Gold, and it's a also 2-pigment mix, so it's PO48 and PY150, and it's ASTM tested as well, and it's also A1, and it's transparent. So let me quickly go back to this tube because I have noticed something which I haven't noticed before. So when you turn this tube, there is a little warning sign right here. Okay, so it says this product contains a chemical known to the state of California to cause cancer. Now it sort of came to me a little bit as a shock because I'm not entirely sure what to make out of it. Now, should I just throw it out and not use it? How do you need to use it for it to be dangerous to you? You know, if you get it a little bit on your skin, would that be dangerous enough? If you, does it mean if you inhale it, if you ingest it? In what sort of proportion, you know, do you need to be in contact with this watercolor to be dangerous to your health? I have no chemistry knowledge, and so I wouldn't be able to understand the levels of toxicity in watercolors. So it's a little bit strange to me why, if it is known in the state of California to cause cancer, why this watercolor has been produced. Let me know in the comment section what your thoughts are and whether you have any knowledge. That would be really great to share with all of us. Now let's move on to the Pyrrol Scarlet, also by Daniel Smith. It's a PR255 single pigment, also ASTM tested, and it's also one. You'll notice that a lot of these colors are actually excellent and will last over 100 years. And it is a semi-transparent. Next one is Daniel Smith Quinacridone Pink, and it's also a single pigment, PV42, and it's light fast ASTM 2. Now the 2, just to remind ourselves, is very good, so 50 to 100 years, so I don't mind that. And then it's transparent. Next one is by Sennelier Helios Purple, and on the comparison of all of these, the light fastness is the lowest, so it's ASTM 3. It is not fugitive like I explained before. However, it will last 15 to 50 years tops. So you know, if you paint something and you want it to, I don't know, last until your children grow up or something like that, then that's not a color to go by. I'm a little bit disappointed in that front because I didn't actually do all of the checks before I have composed them. I purely picked these colors according to what color mixes they gave me. So that is in the part 2 if you want to have a look. But now that I really studied sort of the information, I am slightly concerned about these two colors, the Quinacridone Gold by Daniel Smith and the Sennelier Helios Purple. So yeah, I don't know whether I should swap these colors. So now let's move on to the blues and the greens. So the QoR Cobalt Blue, as you can see, is the least transparent color because you can not see the black ink as clearly as you can see on the other swatches. Especially at this part here, you can see it's not that clear, and actually the camera lighting is doing fantastic, so you can see it clearer on the camera than you actually see it in real life. So the QoR Cobalt Blue is a PB28 single pigment, and it's also ASTM tested one, so it's fantastic. Transparency wise, it's semi-opaque, which is to be expected with cobalt colors. Next one is the Daniel Smith Indanthrone Blue, PB60, light fastness of ASTM 1, and it is transparent. Next one is, or the next two are going to be Mijello, and they are the only two colors that are not ASTM tested, and they do the light fastness testing within their own brand. So internally it is rated as out of 5 stars, so it is top rated, but it's not ASTM rated. Now let's go back to the pigments. So the Peacock Blue is PB15:3 and PG7. So it's a pigment blue and a pigment green. And you will see that this is actually the PG7 is this one here, so the Viridian. So Viridian mixed with PB15:3 gives you this color. And in terms of the transparency, it's semi-transparent. Then we have the Viridian, which I already mentioned, both the PG7 and the 5 out of 5 stars for light fastness, and it's transparent. Then let's move on to Winsor Newton Permanent Sap Green. And oh, I just realized something. I forgot to show you on the Sennelier Helios Purple tube. So always make sure you check at the, so there is the light fastness that they do internally has very different sort of outcome or rating as the ASTM does. So for example, on ASTM this is a 3, which is at the back, and not always are their colors ASTM tested, so do have a look whether it is or not. And then so this would be sort of like a bottom number for light fastness, but on their own rating, internal rating, it is 3 stars, which is the highest rating you can get. So they think it is the highest, which is a little bit of a concern, because if that's their highest, what would be their lowest? That's my thinking. So do make sure you always check at the back what it was ASTM tested, and I would trust the ASTM testing. So coming back to the Winsor Newton Permanent Sap Green, we have here the combination of PG36 and PY110. It is also ASTM tested one, and it's transparent. Now on this tube I wanted to show you, if you're new to Winsor & Newton Professional Watercolours, they have this thing here at the bottom under the Series 1, which says Performance A. Now that is the equivalent to ASTM 1, which goes line in line, and I would trust their own internal lightfastness rating and testing, because it's the same result as the ASTM. So finally we have Daniel Smith Green Gold, and it's a combination of 3 pigments, so I wouldn't recommend mixing this color with too many colors, because it is likely to give you a bit of a less clear and more muddy color, just because it already has 3 colors. So anything above 2, just be careful that you don't introduce too many colors in the mixes. But it is a very, it's a convenience color, and it's already a very beautiful and natural color, so it doesn't really need that much tweaking in terms of getting it to where you want it to be. So I would just use one color in any case, because it just doesn't need any more. In terms of lightfastness, it is also ASTM tested. It's a 2, so 50 to 100 years, and it is transparent. So that is it. That was the info for all of these lovely colors. Do let me know about Quinacridone Gold if you have any information. Like I said, it would be very useful for all of us to know. Next week I'm planning to do a little video on toxicity, because quite a few people of you have been asking me about it, and I couldn't really respond to your questions because, like I said, I have no knowledge of sort of the chemical components and how this chemistry of the watercolors work in terms of toxicity. So I had to do a bit of research myself, and I just wanted to share with you what I found out from that research, which might be quite interesting to you. And that is it. So thank you for watching, and see you soon.